Yes, finally things are working. And we are on to our last question. Crypto operates in the power industry and owns 45% of the voting rights in Quran. Quran has four other investors which own the remaining 55% of its voting rights and are all tech companies. The largest of these holdings is 18%. Quran is a property developer and purchases property for its renovation potential and subsequent disposal. Crypto has no expertise in this area and is not involved in the renovation or disposal of property. The board of directors of Quran makes all of the major decisions, but crypto can nominate up to four of the eight board members. Each of the remaining members are nominated by each of the investors. Any major decisions require all board members to vote and for there to be a clear majority. Thus, crypto has effectively the power of veto on any major decision. If the other four say one thing and crypto's directors say another thing, 4 versus 4, 50-50 tie. You will not have a definitive solution. There is no shareholder agreement as to how Quran should be operated or who will make the operating decisions. The directors of crypto believe that crypto has joint control over Quran because it is the major shareholder and holds the power of veto over major decisions. The directors of crypto would like an advice as to whether or not they should account for Quran under IFRS 11 joint arrangements. What do you think?
Joint arrangement.
Joint control, so
I don't think
Yeah.
because they have clearly mentioned there is no shareholder agreement as to why Quran should be operated. The other thing is like there is no unanimous consent,
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, all board members' consent must be there. So there is no clear one person who can kind of
control is not there.
So
control
so
is not there, I
IFRS
believe.
11 defines that a joint arrangement is where two or more entities come together to join work on something, and the decisions has to be unanimous. But here, simple majority is taken as a decision. So for that reason, it is not a joint venture. It is more rather a control is there. Like crypto has control over currency. They have control. They have the power to appoint four out of the eight board of directors. In addition to it, it has the veto rights. So this indicates a uh, control situation. So it would be treated as a substitute.
But veto right is not merely a control; it's just to stop a
It
kind of decision.
veto, when you say veto, a veto right only gives you the ability to block decisions. When you define control, control means you have the ability to direct the activities, right? You have the ability to tell the other entity what it should do or what it shouldn't do. You don't have joint control here, है ना? Now,
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. Like, so veto doesn't. Let's say you and me are having a joint arrangement, and you and me are having a different thing. You have veto right means you can stop me from doing whatever I want. Like,
yes, I can say no.
and but that doesn't mean that like you can do what you want. It just stops me from doing
Yes,
what I want.
I can stop you from doing something, but because we have 50% right, you and I both are 50-50% holders, for example, in this case, even if it is 50% ownership, I still don't have the ability to direct the activities of the other entity, right?
Yeah.
And I
Then
don't
control
have,
is not established.
then control is not there. Neither do I have this ability in conjunction with someone else. The other
Yes, sir.
entities that are there, I don't have the power to make this decision along with that other entity. Na? Like in some of the questions that we have seen, what does it say? Here, total 75% holding है, A and B together own whatever percentage, so they then exercise joint control. But यहाँ पे the situation very clearly mentions that see, control में you need power over the investee, ability to affect the returns through power over the investee. Crypto only has the ability to block decisions. It doesn't have the ability to tell what has to be done. Joint control के लिए decisions about relevant activities require unanimous consent of the parties sharing control. For Quran, multiple combinations of shareholders can form a majority. But have they see Quran with someone else, 45 plus 18 together, they can form a majority. But is it mentioned anywhere in a contractual agreement that that is the case, that they have the ability to jointly make a decision, or the two entities will come together for decision making purposes? ऐसा कहीं पे लिखा है कि if not this, they will at least come together and together they will exercise that control over the other party? ऐसा तो कहीं पे लिखा नहीं है. So it does not have control, first of all, and it does not even have joint control. So for joint control, unanimous decision making of the two parties is required. Right now we do not see that unanimous decision making also happening. The only thing that we can talk about is, see, 45% shareholding hai. We can say that crypto has significant influence over the other entity. Significant influence के लिए 20% से ज्यादा and 50% से कम. That is the requirement which you are appropriately fulfilling. Correct.
And there is also board representation.
There is board representation 50%. 8-member board में you have how many members? You have the ability to appoint 4 members.
Or
So that particular part is nicely taken care of. So the other entity, so crypto has significant influence over Quran. It has neither control nor does it have joint control. दोनों उसके लिए possible नहीं है. Correct? So when we are talking about the ability of the entity, you have to evaluate all of these aspects. Control means you have the ability to direct, you have the ability to tell what to do and what not to do. Veto doesn't give you that. Veto only gives you the ability to block. So कंट्रोल तो नहीं है. जॉइंट कंट्रोल के लिए यूनानिमस डिसीजन मेकिंग चाहिए, वो भी नहीं है. सो व्हाट इज लेफ्ट? एसोसिएट, सिग्निफिकेंट इन्फ्लुएंस. ठीक है.
yeah, yeah, they have asked whether it is to be appointed as per, like, it is to be appointed as per IFRS 11 or not. Do we have to say that it is not control, not associate, like it is an
So we'll
associate
have
member?
to pass through the entire journey. See, for
Okay.
you to arrive at that conclusion ki what should be done, you have to pass through the entire journey, talk about control, talk about joint control, and then talk about significant influence.
Yes. Thank you.
ठीक है, have a look. ठीक है.
Thanks.
ओके. एक अलग था क्वेश्चन, which is why I wanted to do it in the first place. On 1st of April, crypto purchased bonds in EPTRUC for $20 million from an unconnected third-party investor. The 5-year bonds were originally issued on 1st of April 2006 for $30 million and had an effective interest rate of 15%. However, in September 2006, EPTRUC indicated that it would be unable to fulfill any annual contractual interest repayments and would offer a substantially reduced premium to bondholders on redemption. On 1st of April, 2007, crypto calculated a credit adjusted effective interest rate based on expected future cash flow associated with the bond to be 4%. At 31st of March 2008, the increase in lifetime expected credit losses since 1st of April 2007 was calculated to be 0.3 million. The directors of crypto would like advice on the accounting treatment of financial asset in crypto's financial statements for the year ended 31st of March 2008 under IFRS 9 financial instruments. Acha, what is this situation?
Purchase of credit-impaired assets.
These are assets which are credit impaired at origin. है ना?
Yeah, true.
So what should be the correct accounting treatment? Tell me.
Credit
Sir, it
adjusted
should be
effective interest rate
recorded at
should
Difference
be
cost,
of
not
gross
at fair
carrying amount
value.
and present value of future cash flow discounted rate.
Okay. Can you elaborate?
Sir, it should be recorded at cost rather than fair value because like of the provision, as well as like on that 20 million only we'll calculate effective interest rate.
on 20 million at कितना परसेंट, 15% की 4%?
4%. Credit adjusted effective interest rate
Yes,
should
sir,
be used for
4%.
student impact.
4%.
Have to use the credit adjusted effective interest rate.
Yeah.
And what about that loss allowance that has also increased? उसका क्या करेंगे?
P&L.
Very nice, thank you. But what is it? It is an increase in the lifetime expected credit losses, है ना?
हाँ sir.
Yes, sir.
It is an increase in the lifetime expected credit losses. तो उसका क्या होगा? Naturally, the increase, because this is a loss which is credit impaired at the time of, or credit impaired at the time of origin, even if there is a change in the amount of expected credit losses, that has to be routed through P&L, and whatever is the difference, wo, as Gautam rightly pointed out, it has to be routed through your uh, profit and loss account. ठीक है? अब just whenever you are answering such questions, see that P&L part is perfect and that is what they want, but make sure that you explain why you are doing it that way. मतलब assets which are credit impaired at origin, तो वो point आपको mention करना पड़ेगा, and then you will also have to mention the net carrying amount in the financial statements. Mention why you are using 4%, why you are not using 15%. Correct? Because 15% was the original rate, and now, of course, the rate has been revised. Why has it been revised? Because the asset has become credit impaired. ये देखो. Third one. Manav, read the question, please.
So this crypto was invited to tender for this one, no, sir?
हाँ.
Crypto was invited to tender for a major contract with a multinational company. The tender was successful. Crypto incurred the following costs on the tender: external fees incurred on customer research, $50,000; internal staff costs of preparing tender, $30,000; travel and accommodation costs to deliver tender, $3,000; commission paid to sales staff for winning the tender, $70,000. The above costs cannot be reached out to the customer. The financial controller is unsure whether these costs can be recognized as an asset in crypto statement of financial position in accordance with IFRS 15, revenue from contract.
Okay. So, what exactly is the situation here? There are, you incurred certain costs on getting a tender. The above costs cannot be recharged to the customer means, see there, recharge to the customer means you cannot recover it from the customer. है ना? So what should you do about it? How should you
So
account for this?
Expense it off, sir.
these costs would be incurred irrespective of getting the we get the contract or not. So these should be expensed off in P&L.
These should be expensed off, all of them.
Yes, sir.
External research should be for sure. Internal staff preparing tenders to be expensed off. Travel and accommodation is to
I
be
think
expensed off.
all of the expenses, sir.
Sorry,
All of them,
everything.
I
Not
believe.
commission.
कमीशन का क्या करेंगे?
So that should not be in our financial statement because it is commission paid to sales staff for winning the tender. So it is basically a bribe.
यार
नहीं?
इतना
No.
आंसर दे रहा था ना शुभ. Honestly, you had started off so well. I was going to praise you. I was almost there.
It is dependent on getting the contract, so it is not confirmed that we will incur, is it?
Sir,
Yeah,
but
that would be the
get the
situation.
contract, we paid
incurred.
commission, right?
It incurred. लिखा है वहां पे, it incurred the cost.
Also mentioned.
शुभ अभी
But
तू
the
ही आंसर
tender
दे इसका.
cannot be successful
So
if we don't
this guy,
incur commission. So commission is directly linked to the tender.
Very good. So the very fact that you have paid this commission, what does it mean? That means you have won the tender, right? Otherwise, you would not have paid the commission. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा,
yes, sir.
तो तू क्या आंसर देने वाला था? बताना तो एक बार. ब्राइब से आई वांट यू टू कंटिन्यू दैट. बता मुझे. आई
So,
वांट टू हियर.
सर वो मतलब आप
बता.
किसी को मतलब कैसे कमीशन ब्राइब दे रहे हो फॉर गेटिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, सो हाउ कैन यू शो दैट इन द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट? सो मुझे लगा वो एंगल पे जा रहा है, एथिक्स वाले साथ में थोड़ा थोड़ा, तो वो भी इंक्लूड करना होगा. तो अगर दे माइट कुछ सरप्राइज में
क्या
अगर वो
करता है
लोग,
इसका? बुक से हटा देता, पेमेंट किया फिर भी.
अरे सर
This
अभी
guy can
मतलब
write the APM paper in the best manner, sir.
मतलब ये मुझे लगा यार इसको चॉकलेट वॉकलेट
He
देना,
is very emotional.
कुछ भी मतलब। बट आई वॉज लाइक यार आज तो इसकी तारीफ करके रहूंगा मैं, बिकॉज यू स्टार्टेड ऑफ ऑन द राइट पाथ एंड देन यू जस्ट वेंट इन द रॉन्ग डायरेक्शन
हो
यहाँ
गया
पे।
बहुत हो गया बहुत सेलिब्रेट।
हद करता है ये। अब see, commission paid to sales staff for winning the tender. That means you have won the tender, right? If you have won the tender, it was so that can be recognized as a contract asset. 70,000. External fees, internal cost of preparing the tender, travel and accommodation cost, as you correctly pointed out, would have been incurred whether or not the tender was successful. Right? I was half scared one of you will go into relevant costing wala direction. Thankfully, you didn't. These costs they cannot be recovered from the customer. Usko operating expense of and write it in the operating section of P&L. Correct. Commission to sales staff was only awarded because the tender was successful. That should be recognized as a contract asset. ठीक है?
It's like prepaid expense.
No, it's not prepaid.
I mean, like prepaid expense, not prepaid.
Like prepaid expense. But but don't bring prepaid expense here. And others don't listen to the word. Otherwise, you will go in a different direction. What is a contract asset? A contract asset is when a company has performed its obligations but does not yet have an unconditional right to payment. है ना? अब so you have completed work but still you have not been able to, अभी तक बिलिंग विलिंग नहीं हुआ है, तो all of that part is left. Recoverability बाद में आ जाएगा with respect to commission that way. But other parts have to be expensed off. ठीक है? Are you all with me?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I thought
Yes,
it
sir.
was more like adjusting with revenue, this commission.
मतलब
Even I thought in that direction. Like we are just from the revenue it would be adjusted and net revenues to be recognized in the P&L.
now, first of all, it is an incremental cost of obtaining the contract. The commission is paid only because the contract was won, right? If contract had not been obtained, the cost would not exist. So IFRS
Yes,
15 says all recoverable costs to be capitalized, not expensed off. The cost will be recovered through the revenue generated by the contract, not directly from the customer, but the cost will be recovered through the revenue generated by the contract, right? Other three costs are not recoverable that way, in the sense ki whether you win the contract or you lose the contract, you still have to pay the three costs that are mentioned. This amount आप contract जीतोगे तो if you win the contract and you are delivering products and services to the customer, you will get your revenue. And once you get your revenue, you will be able to recover. Recover doesn't mean recover necessarily from the customer, but amount that is spent, you are able to win that amount back. That kind of, that is the argument. ठीक है?
got it, sir. Got it.
No bribes, हाँ?
हाँ सर, वो फिर मैंने पूरा पढ़ा तो सेल्स स्टाफ को था, मुझे लगा जिसको कॉन्ट्रैक्ट देने का है उसको, तो फिर मैं भी थोड़ा समझ
तू
गया।
ना हर आंसर लिखने के पहले एक बार सोच
सोच
लिया कर कि मैं
करूंगा।
चिल्ला रहा
हाँ।
हूँ क्लास में। ठीक है?
हाँ सर। हाँ सर।
देन यू राइट द आंसर। कुछ भी आड़ा टेढ़ा लिख के आएगा वरना पेपर में ये। The directors of crypto have prepared forecasts for the next 5 years and have been assessing how to finance their expansion plan. The directors propose to raise the required funds on 1st of April 2008 in one of the following ways: the issue of 5 million ordinary shares, the issue of 10 million convertible bonds in exchange for cash proceeds. Interest is payable annually in arrears. The bondholders will be able to redeem the bonds on 31st of March 2006 in the form of cash or a fixed number of cryptos ordinary shares. The directors are unsure of the impact of the proposal on the financial statements. Discuss the impact of the proposals on the financial statements of crypto. Your answer should consider the potential impact on basic and diluted EPS and on the primary user's perception of crypto's financial performance and position. एक मिनट ईपीएस छोड़ो, बट चलो ठीक है, क्यों छोड़ो बता ही देते हैं. What is earning basic earnings per share?
Profit
Profit
divided
after
by
tax divided by weighted average number of. So weighted average number of shares.
Profit available for equity shareholders divided by basically profit
Weighted,
after tax. Profit after tax and preference dividend divided by weighted
weighted
average
average number of
equity
equity shares.
shares. What is diluted EPS? Suppose I
Let's take
have a convertible loan. Okay, I have issued convertible bonds or convertible debentures. Now, I have to understand that in the future, what will happen is, say these bonds are convertible after 2 years. After 2 years, when the bonds get converted, they will become equity shares. So my denominator will increase, my numerator जो profit है वो वही रहेगा, but denominator will increase. And because of the presence of convertible debt, it has the capacity to reduce my future earnings per share, which is why I call these which is why I say that these items have a dilutive effect. ठीक है? And the EPS is known as diluted EPS. What is EPS? EPS is profit available for equity shareholders divided by weighted average number of equity shares. Diluted EPS is ये जो आपका कैलकुलेशन है, द डिनोमिनेटर, बिकॉज आई हैव कन्वर्टेबल बॉन्ड्स, कन्वर्टेबल प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स, शेयर वारंट्स, इसके वजह से क्या होगा, व्हेन दीज डिबेंचर्स गेट कन्वर्टेड इनटू इक्विटी शेयर्स और दीज बॉन्ड्स गेट कन्वर्टेड टू इक्विटी शेयर्स, योर डिनोमिनेटर विल इंक्रीज and it has the ability to reduce the EPS, and which is why it is called diluted EPS. If you look at FR का सिलेबस ना, FR में EPS का सेपरेट चैप्टर है. इफ यू हैव डन इंडियन सीए, वहां पे तो बहुत पागल करने वाला डिस्कशन है. यहाँ पे बस इतना इज मोर देन इनफ. ठीक है. नाउ टेल मी, हाउ डू यू फ्रेम दिस आंसर?
First of all, debt to equity ratio will have an impact because of this financing if either method is used.
हम्म.
So if equity shares are being issued, then equity will increase and debt to equity ratio will fall initially. And
हम्म.
then if convertible bonds are issued, it will be compound split accounting will be done in equity and debt portion will be accounted separately and it will have an impact on debt to equity.
Let's discuss this one by one. So if I issue ordinary shares, that gets classified as equity, correct? And see, when I raise more money, do you agree that on raising more money, ideally it should lead to an increase in the capacity of the company? It should it should be able to help the company to grow its business, है ना? कंपनी को अपना बिजनेस ग्रो करने में दैट मनी शुड हेल्प, एंड आइडियली व्हेन यू इशू इक्विटी और व्हेन यू रेज फाइनेंस, दैट शुड बेसिकली हेल्प द कंपनी इन एक्सपेंशन. सो इफ द कंपनी रेजेस मनी बाय वे ऑफ इक्विटी, ठीक है, एंड it is able to grow its profits in the manner that it expected, there is a possibility that EPS will remain steady or EPS will go up. But if the company is not able to generate enough profits, you raised money by way of equity, but the company is not able to generate enough profits. So, एक तो denominator has increased. So, do you believe that EPS will fall in that case? है ना? Debt equity ratio will reduce because the equity component is now a bigger component. ठीक है? So that is one part. इट इज डायरेक्टली क्रिएटिंग इक्विटी, तो आपका कोई डाइल्यूटेड ईपीएस और इस सब पे कुछ खास इम्पैक्ट नहीं होगा इन दिस केस. बट इफ आई वर टू टॉक अबाउट, से फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ आई एम रेजिंग मनी बाय वे ऑफ बॉन्ड्स, तो क्या हो रहा है? व्हेन आई एम रेजिंग मनी बाय वे ऑफ बॉन्ड्स ऑन अ सर्टेन लेवल, माय इक्विटी का प्रोपोर्शन इन द बिजनेस इज नॉट गोइंग अप, है ना? माय डेट का प्रोपोर्शन इज गोइंग अप, सो माय डेट इक्विटी रेशियो विल इंक्रीज. ठीक है. Debt equity ratio या gearing, whatever I want to call it, it will the debt equity ratio will go up. And what will happen to EPS? See, when you raise money by way of debt, money is money, right? At the end of the day. So when you raise money by way of debt, तो क्या होगा? Immediately after that, naturally profits of the business revenue will go up. So profit of the business will go up. ये होगा. ठीक है. उसके बाद the denominator is still the same. Do you agree? Denominator has not changed. Denominator क्या है EPS calculation में? Denominator is number of equity shares, and here number of equity shares has not increased. So what will happen? The EPS is likely to go up in this situation, है ना? But कहीं ना कहीं that but while basic EPS will increase, or diluted EPS will also come into picture. ये normal होगा. This is a normal understanding. But in this case, these are convertible bonds. अब आपको पता है, whenever you raise money by way of convertible bonds, financial instruments में, there is a liability component, there is an equity component. ठीक है. Liability component is large, equity component is usually small. है ना. अब interest is accounted for using the effective interest method, so it will reduce the profit. Profit कम होगा तो it will reduce EPS also. सो आपको कोई नंबर नहीं बताना, यू जस्ट हैव टू टेल व्हाट कैलकुलेशन, मतलब एक नैरेटिव डिस्क्रिप्शन देना है, व्हाट इम्पैक्ट इट विल हैव ऑन गियरिंग, व्हाट इम्पैक्ट इट विल हैव ऑन प्रॉफिट्स एंड व्हाट इम्पैक्ट इट विल हैव ऑन ईपीएस. देयर इज नो calculation to be presented here, you only have to describe the impact. ठीक है.
Because we are speaking about convertible bonds, can we also have a point relating to financial leverage, something to do with the
Definitely,
risk?
definitely we can, but write it only if it is demanded by the question, otherwise don't do it.
They've generally asked about the impact on financials.
You're right, no
In
problem.
special, no, I'm just confused like what to write and what not to write.
You can go through this, have a look, all the points that we discussed.
Just scroll.
Cool. So that's all.